Hi guys, I recently taught us how to have a spirit-to-spirit conversation, and today I wanted to take it a step further and talk about the 4 people that you should absolutely have a spirit-to-spirit conversation with. If you do no other spirit-to-spirit conversations, at least do them with these 4 people because it may change your life. Ready, set, go. Number 1 is going to be your mother, and I recommend your biological mother because even if you were adopted, uh, that connection with your biological ancestors, especially through the person in whose body you gestated, whose DNA you share, um, this connection is one of the deepest and most human connections that a person can have. And really getting clear on our relationships with our mothers can be deeply healing and deeply enlightening. Many of us, or really most of us, and really all of us, have mother-related trauma. That's just how it is. You don't get to come here to Earth and never have any kind of conflict involving your biological mother, even if, again, your birth mother births you and you're immediately, taken somewhere else and adopted. There is still a connection there. There is still wounding there. There are still questions there. So this is a really imperative conversation to have. If you've never had a spirit-to-spirit conversation with your own mother, have one. Have one today if you can. These conversations may be very intense, but on the plus side, they're alone. It's just with you. Your actual mother is not there with you. It doesn't matter if she is alive or passed on. You can still have this conversation. You can have it in writing. I'm going to link my video on how to have these conversations below, so go check that out. But doing this conversation, having this conversation is going to be so healing for both of you. It will make things make more sense in your life. You can ask those questions that you never felt like you could ask, and you can get new perspectives that you never thought you could have. Now, if your mother was a very dangerous person, like say she was abusive or something like that, what you can do as part of the spirit-to-spirit conversation is invite Jesus or angels or some kind of divine protector to act as a mediator. You can envision a kind of shield or filter around yourself as you imagine this conversation with your mother. And I always recommend envisioning yourself encased in a tube of light all the time. I feel like that when you exist in a tube of light, your life, it's just better. Just try it. You'll like it. It feels good. When people say mean stuff to you, the light just kind of like fizzles it out, and you get to stay in a neutral position even when other people are attacking you. So if your mother is not a safe space to have that kind of conversation with, even in your own mind, those are some protections that you can put in place to start having that kind of conversation. And this does not just have to be one conversation either. Oh, it can be several. Speaking of motherhood, I got permission to keep recording. The second person that you're going to want to have a conversation with is going to be your biological father. Okay. This is a biological connection that is irreplaceable. This is half of your DNA. Whether or not you knew your father, whether or not you got along with him, he existed, and your body is made up of genetic material that came from him. And you are carrying the generational trauma from his line. Anyway, the conversation that you have with your biological father is going to, once again, be very enlightening. It could be very healing in your own soul, okay? All of us carry the trauma from our ancestors. We carry unprocessed generational trauma, and nowhere is it more concentrated than from our biological parents. And so having those kinds of conversations can be very, very healing. Of course, if you are adopted, it may also be worth it to add in your adoptive parents into this lineup of critical conversations to have on a spirit-to-spirit level. But biology impacts us every single day, and I strongly recommend, if you do no other spirit-to-spirit conversations, have one with your mother, have one with your father, your biological parents whose DNA has shaped who you are, okay? Now, I started this video with a recommendation of 4, so those are number 1 and 2. Number 3 is going to be your abuser, okay? And I'm going to use this term very widely. If I say that term, some people are going to say, I don't even have any of those. And some people are going to say, which one? And the answer is yes. The answer is all of them. The answer is go and make a list of the people in your life who have hurt you in significant ways and have those conversations. Again, spirit to spirit, they're not physically there, but this is going to give you the chance to really dig deep into your own feelings and emote and scream and, you know, cuss them out if you need to. Like, you're going to just go to town and feel your feelings and say all the things that you never got to say, the things that you wish that you had said, the things that you wish you could express to them in a way that they would get on a spirit level. This is how you do it. You have that conversation. You emote those things in private, imagining that person with you. Again, put in those protections if you need to, as I said earlier in the video. And then uh, you're going to allow them to respond. Okay? This can be very healing. It can be very enlightening. Okay? Sometimes they're going to actually apologize to you and it's going to be extremely healing. And sometimes they're not. And sometimes they're going to go off and yell right back. And that is very enlightening too, because that's when you realize, like, oh, that is like, this is a wounded person too. This is a crazy person too. Like, this is someone who is not ready to feel remorse. Either way, it's going to give you some information and some feedback that's going to help you take the next steps in your life from recovering from these situations that have hurt you. Okay? Mother, father, the person who has hurt you. Okay? And sometimes those things overlap, obviously. Now, the fourth one I'm going to say is your unrequited love. Okay, if you have ever had this situation where you felt crazy about somebody and they were not that crazy back to you that you know of, um, having these kinds of spirit to spirit conversations with those people in our lives can also be very, very healing. Okay, you're going to find the closure that you couldn't find in real life. You are going to create that closure through a spirit to spirit conversation. Now, you are welcome to have those conversations with any kind of ex and also with your current spouse or significant other. Okay, if there's things in your life that you feel like you can't have a real conversation with them verbally, you can have that conversation spiritually, and that is how. I mean, I'll link the full instructions below, but you will see for yourself that if you have these conversations, it's going to change your life. It's going to bless your life. It's going to open some doors that have felt really closed for a long time, because it's all about that closure. It's about finally having the conversation, saying the thing that needs to be said. Recently, somebody in my life that I love a lot got cancer in her thyroid gland and parathyroids. And this was, of course, very devastating. And I had a bunch of recommendations for, natural stuff you can do about that kind of thing. But I said, the neck, this is the originator of all of your speech. Okay, if you are having big neck problems, a lot of times it's because there are things that you need to say that you never got to say. Is there anyone in your life that you have needed to have a conversation with and you have not had that conversation? And this person just kind of said, oh, oh no. And I sent this person instructions on how to have a spirit to spirit conversation, and this person just this my takeaway from that conversation, that real life conversation with this person, was that she was not in a space where she could even entertain having a spirit to spirit conversation with someone of this nature. Like, these things were still too difficult to have that conversation even in her own mind, and I think that that has shown up in her physical symptoms. Anyway, I'm going to strongly invite you to consider this, and I hope that it has changed your life in a really good way. Please join the Facebook group, Intuitive Healing with Ali Duzette. Share your experiences. If you want to talk to a friend about it, that is the group to go to. Everyone in there is just as cool as you, and they're all interested in this kind of thing. So go share your experiences if you want to. We can't wait to hear them, and I hope that you have a great day. Thanks for listening.